So my name is Liz. I know it says I'm Bettina on Zoom, but she let me sign in on her account so that we could record and screen share and do all that kind of stuff. And so I am going to start screen sharing, and I'm going to share with you just a little bit about our department here in horticulture. Let me try and get this where you can see the full thing. Let's see. All right. Can you guys see that? The full screen?
Yes.
Okay, where it says Alamance Community College. All right, so my name is Liz. And I'm the department head here for horticulture, which, you know, we work with plants, we work with landscape designs, we work inside, we work outside, we use technology, we do a bunch of cool things here in our department. And so I'm also the department head for what's called agricultural biotechnology, which also works with plants, but is also like it helps train people to work in the research part of the plant world. And so I'm going to talk to you guys just briefly about these programs and what we do, and then we're going to look at what hydroponics is and kind of dig into your kits that you guys got to pick up yesterday, okay? So just because I know that some of you guys might be moving into high school soon, just keep in mind that at ACC, we do have the option for y'all to take classes in high school for free. So it used to be just juniors or seniors, like says here on the computer screen, but they've actually changed that. And you could check into actually as a freshman taking college classes for free. That's something I took advantage of when I was in high school. A while ago, I was able to take a lot of classes for free so that then when I went to college, I was only actually at my undergraduate university for 2 years. And so I saved money that way. And I really lucked out doing that. So just keep that in your mind. You can take classes that are specific to horticulture or specific to other departments. And you can also take those general education classes like your Englishes and your biologies and things like that that can go and transfer out to other schools. If at any point in time you guys have questions, just say, hey, Liz, pause for a minute and we'll talk about that, okay? So we have some things that kind of have a funny name. They're called articulation agreements. And so if you're interested in horticulture or even in other degrees, we have partnerships with universities around our area where you can come to ACC for some semesters and then articulate or transfer into specific programs at other universities. So in horticulture, we have specific agreements with NC-A&T, which is right down the road, and also North Carolina State University, which is in Raleigh. So if you think maybe ACC is a great place to start, you could always start here. And then the purpose of these is to be able to help our students kind of go wherever they want to with their degree. So here on campus, we're really fortunate with our facilities. We have 3 greenhouses on our campus that we get to work in with students and learn in and things like that. And then a 47-acre farm as well. That's about 10 minutes down the road. So you can see here in the picture, this is all 3 of our greenhouses showing on the screen. And then the 47-acre farm is down at the bottom, and we teach things like equipment operations out there. We teach irrigation. We teach greenhouse production. So the top picture, with all the plants in the greenhouse on the benches, we grow plants for spring plant sales and things like that. And our students get to do all of this and get to learn all about it. And it's really a unique program and lots of hands-on exposure. We also get to travel quite a bit with our program. So we travel, you can see here, these are some of the trips we did last year. We traveled to Louisville, Kentucky last year. We traveled to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Las Vegas, Greensboro for a local trade show. We also got to go to Louisiana. And so every year we go to some of these similar industry things so that our students can get to see new things, get exposed to different parts of the industry. Our industry has lots of different opportunities. If you're creative, if you're more math-brained, I'm not math-brained at all, but if you are, or you're creative, or you like to be outside, or you like technology, there's a lot of different places and a lot of different routes for you in our industry, and it's a really great industry to be a part of. So we also have extracurriculars in our department. One thing that we do every year is we travel to what's referred to as the National Collegiate Landscape Competition, which, if you imagine the Olympics, have either of you guys watched the Olympics before? Anybody?
I have.
Okay, where they do all the sports, right? They do, I don't know, skiing and swimming and some other things that I don't know exactly what they are. But take the Olympics and then put that with landscape things. And so it's basically like the landscape Olympics for our students, and they're competing against schools from all across the country. There's usually about 65 schools that participate, and it really is just a great opportunity. And so you can see over the past few years just some of the cool places that we've gotten to travel to. We've been to Utah, Colorado. Last year was supposed to be in Michigan, but they had to change it to a virtual event due to the pandemic. And then this next coming March is supposed to be at Virginia Tech. So lots of fun there. Students get to compete. They get to meet other industry people. They get to meet other students that they see, and it's just a really fun time. And plus, we get to do some of the fun extra stuff like hiking and snowshoeing like you see here. So then I just wanted to kind of touch on horticulture careers a little bit. So like I said, there are lots of opportunities for you guys in horticulture. I know Leslie Herndon was on the lunch series on Monday, and she works in the landscape side of things. But greenhouse manager, so managing all the plants growing in greenhouses, a landscape designer, you could be an educator like me, or in a high school or in a middle school, floral designers, researchers, arborists. So we actually have a really big sector of our industry that take care of trees. So when you think about parks and houses and things like that, the people that are caring for those trees, that's a really big part of our field. Fruit and vegetable production too. So things like lettuces and bell peppers and peaches and apples, those are actually considered to be horticulture crops. And so learning how to grow those and being a producer of those is important as well. And I don't know if you guys are on social media at all, but if you are, you could follow us and you'll get to see some of the cool stuff that we do every semester. I post a lot on Facebook and I post a lot on Instagram. Snapchat, I'm still kind of learning. I'm surprised actually I haven't taken a picture of my foot on that yet because I don't quite understand how to work Snapchat. But we do have accounts on all three. So please join us and follow us, and you can kind of keep up with us that way too. And sometimes we post stuff that, you might learn something from. We just got bees out at our farm, so we're learning about beekeeping. We have a hydroponics greenhouse where we produce everything hydroponically, so we're always learning something new in there too. So lots of fun. Do you guys have any questions about the horticulture department?
No.
No? Okay. So the next one we're going to take a quick look at is the agricultural biotechnology department. So we are the only college in North Carolina to have this degree, and we're positioned right between some of our major research areas in North Carolina. And so when you think about agricultural biotechnology, it really combines a lot of the plant science that you learn in horticulture with the lab techniques that you need for research and doing things like that. And so you learn things like plant science, micropropagation, which you can see here with the jars with the little plants. That's tissue culture, also referred to as micropropagation. So you take a little teeny tiny piece of a plant and you can grow a good sized plant in this small jar, a lot of them, and then transplant it out into the greenhouse. You take classes in cell culture and lab techniques and greenhouse production and biotechnology. So if you like science and you like plants, this is a really good combination for someone to check out. So career opportunities in that, research technician, a lab manager, you might coordinate field trials when people are trying to figure out ways to produce more food or how to produce food that tastes better or is more healthy for us to eat, and also greenhouse management for research projects. Potential employers, these are some of the local ones, but there's a lot out there that you could find employment with. So Eurofins is actually in Mebane, Syngenta is in Greensboro, and Bayer has some, they're kind of scattered out all over the place. So if you are on Instagram, you can follow the Ag Bio program with this. It's just agbio_ACC. That's a fairly new Instagram account, and so I've just started posting stuff on there because that program is really new. It's only been in place for about a year. So those are two of the programs here at ACC that I'm in charge of that really have that focus on plants and lots of different things. Do you guys have any questions about either of those programs?
Can you repeat that?
Do you guys have any questions about any of the programs that I just went over?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
Perfect. So now what we're going to do, I just wanted to kind of introduce you guys into that. And again, I'm not going to hold you, I don't want to hold you on the chat very long. My goal is to be quick and straight to the point, just because I know sometimes internet lags and things like that. And it's a gorgeous day outside. And so the next thing we're going to take a look at is hydroponic production. So you guys picked up your kits yesterday with Bettina, the coolers and the plants. And so you're actually going to be able to set up your kit with the instructions that are in the cooler. And Bettina also posted those on your website for this week. So you're going to be able to grow hydroponically yourself. So what do plants need to grow? Do you guys, can you think of something?
Water.
Water. Yes. Oops, I gave one away. I thought I had water first, but I didn't. Okay, water is one thing. What else?
Sunlight.
Light. Yes, exactly. All right, and then there's one more kind of key component. Do you know what that might be?
Soil.
Soil. Yes. Okay, so we've got light. Now, you said sunlight, but we've actually started doing research. Our industry has actually transitioned to starting to use grow lights. And so that has actually changed quite a bit. And there are actually things in the industry now where people are turning old warehouses into growing spaces because they're able to use lights. But so light is one, and sunlight is obviously the most common that people use. The next one is, water. Okay, you guys said that. So we need water. And then also, I put a picture of soil here, which is true, the plants do need soil, but one of the important things is that they need anchorage, right? So their roots grow down in that soil to kind of support them. Think of when like a storm comes through and the trees are swaying, but they're staying in place because their roots are holding them down in the soil. So they need light, water, and anchorage. And I put anchorage because in hydroponics, we are actually growing primarily just in water. The roots are bathed in the water of the system. So the name hydroponics comes from hydro, which is equal to water. Okay, that's what it means in Latin. And ponos, which is equal to labor. And when you put those two together, that gives us working water. Okay, so the water is doing a lot of the work for us in hydroponics, which means we have to pay a lot of attention to our water. Okay, the water is our key in hydroponics. So just some definitions. Basically in hydroponics, we are growing plants without soil. Okay, we're growing plants with no soil. We're using water instead. And that's what you guys are going to do in your coolers this week. So nutrient solution or nutrient enriched water is used. So when I say nutrients, do you know what I mean? Does anybody know what I mean by that?
No. I mean, nutrients are like food, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nutrients are like food. For plants, though, the nutrients are supplied by something called fertilizer. So you guys have fertilizer. It's bright blue in a Ziploc baggie, and it's labeled 2020 fertilizer, do not eat, okay? Because it's bright blue. That is that's what you're going to make your nutrient solution in. So when you set your kits up, you're going to add water into the cooler. You're going to add the fertilizer in. Just make sure you follow my handout so that you don't over-fertilize, and you're creating your own nutrient solution, and that is going to provide water and the food, essentially, to the plant that it needs to grow. Sometimes we may support root systems with something just, again, to give them some anchorage, but it doesn't give anything to the plant except holding them in place. And so your little seedlings that you have in the cooler are growing in something called rock wool. Okay, so we started the seeds in the rock wool just so that it could have support. And then what you're going to do is use some clay pebbles in your pots, to provide support. So they're not really doing anything except holding them in place while those roots grow out into your cooler. So there's several different types of hydroponic systems. This is an example of one that's really easy. It's just a trough with like a float tray in there with water and an air pump in there. And the nutrient solution is under these little lettuces that they're growing here. So you can have really simple to really complex hydroponic systems. This is a very simple one, and it's something that you can do in your backyard super easy and pretty inexpensively and produce a tremendous amount of food. So this is showing what your cooler will look like. The nutrient solution, again, that's where we've taken that fertilizer and we put it into that water, and it's going to feed the plant for us. The roots are going to grow down into that water and take up the water and the nutrients. Okay, so there's no soil involved. And that's going to provide the needed nutrients for plant growth specifically. So there's, again, like I said, there's a lot of different growing methods for hydroponics. These are just some of the terms: ebb and flow, a drip system, nutrient film technique, and a passive system. So I'm going to show you guys just a few pictures so you can have an idea of what these look like. So an ebb and flow system is shown here. So you basically have this tray, right, this white tray, where the water floods up into that tray and floods it, and it wets the plants, the roots, and then it will drain back out. Okay, so it can actually recirculate. So a lot of hydroponic systems allow us to be able to reuse water and to reuse fertilizer, which is a really good thing, so we're not wasting resources. Here you can see the plants growing. That's rock wool that they're growing in, and it's in an ebb and flow system on the right. This is an example of a drip system, which is set up similar, except instead of flooding from the bottom up, you see the little drip tubes that are going into each pot. So this is similar to how yours will look, except there's not drip. Yours is kind of essentially an ebb and flow, but they're going to be growing in these little net pots with the clay pebbles in them, and the roots will branch out into the water. Does anybody know, can either of you think about why it might be important to have an aerator in there for our water? So I gave you guys a little blue pump that pumps out air. Do you know why that might be important?
So they can breathe?
Exactly, yes. Because plants do need to be able to have access. I'm sorry, and Oz just got cut off. They do need to be able to have access to oxygen, just like we do. Their roots need access to oxygen, so that air pump helps. So this is just showing another way that you can set it up. Each plant's got like its own individual bucket with a drip emitter, and that's just our little irrigation stake, and it sprays out water right into each container. So the last one that I was going to show you guys is the nutrient film technique. We have a lot of these systems in our hydroponic greenhouse that we get to work in. So if you ever want to come out and see them or do a tour or learn more about them, please always feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to show you. So you can see here, the tube with the blue in it goes up, and this trough is like on an incline. So it puts the water out up at the top, and it's a continual flow, and it flows down that incline. And that's how the roots are able to get to the water, goes back into the tank, and then it can circle back around as much as you need it to. So one thing with the hydroponic system that you guys are taking home is that you've got to make sure it's hot outside, it's summertime, and those plants have been in the greenhouse. So you don't want to take them and sit them directly into full sun today if you start your kit today. You want to give them somewhere in the shade that's a little cooler. Let them get established a little bit, and then you can gradually start to shift them into more sunlight. But making sure that you keep a check on that water level in the cooler, because our water is our most important factor, okay? Because that's supplying our fertilizer, our food, but the plants have to have water to live. One number that's really crazy to think about is that plants are made up of 90% water. So like our cucumbers that you guys got to take home and the okra you got to take home, those are made up of 90% water. So water is super crucial when you are working with plants. And obviously when all the water they have, we're in charge of applying it to them for the hydroponic system. So here are a few pictures of crops that are possible to grow in hydroponics. So you can grow lettuces, cucumbers, tomatoes. How many of you like strawberries? Anybody?
Me.
Yeah. Who was that?
I like strawberries.
Do you both like strawberries?
I do.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yes, they're so yummy. Well, you can grow strawberries in a hydroponics greenhouse year round, which is awesome. Herbs, so like rosemary and thyme, which you use to cook with a lot. Eggplants, edible flowers. Some people really love to use edible flowers for things, and so producing those in a hydroponic system is an option. Bell peppers and also melons. So tons of crop possibilities. Does anybody recognize that head over there growing in all that lettuce? It's kind of a slanted picture.
No.
No. Well, he has two really big ears, and he's a mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
Yes, you got it. Exactly. So actually at Disney World, they have this huge hydroponics greenhouse. And I got to go on a behind the scenes tour a couple of years ago and see their hydroponic system. And so they're growing these plants in this greenhouse completely hydroponically in water. So yes, exactly. That is Mickey Mouse's head designed over there in those lettuce plants, which is just, it was super cool to get to see. So, and some other things they're growing, right? We've got melons here that they're growing. This is all at Disney. And a lot of what they produce, they carry to their restaurants and the parks to provide to people. Also, if you notice this melon picture on the right, do you see this little pack, the little white packet hanging up there? It looks like it has like a bug or something on it in the right-hand side. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
It kind of looks like Pascal.
Pascal, he's the little guy off of Rapunzel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids love Rapunzel. So that actually is an insect package. Why are we putting insects out in the greenhouse? Aren't they bad for our plants? What do you guys think? You think that's a silly thing to have in there?
No.
So there are actually things called beneficial insects. So they actually, you can put out these little packets of bugs, insects in the greenhouse, and they will come in and they will eat our bad insects that cause damage to our crops. And so that is why with these edible crops, instead of spraying chemicals on them, they're using beneficial insects instead to come eat the bad bugs. It's really actually cool. We do that in some of our greenhouses here on campus as well. Here are some trees that they're growing hydroponically. So they have them growing in a sand base that they flood with water. And look at how big those trees are that they're growing, you know, by bathing their roots in nutrients and water. It's pretty spectacular. And then here again, they're growing cucumbers in that same greenhouse. So you can see it doesn't take up a whole lot of space to produce a good bit of food if you set the systems up correctly. All right, so the substrates. So substrates is a term used for something that's basically, it's like a soilless potting substrate, okay? So it doesn't have soil in it. So these are some of the common ones that you'll see in hydroponics. Like I said, these are what are used to anchor the plants. So you guys actually have the rock wool substrate, okay, that your seedlings are in right now, and the clay pebbles. Okay, so you guys are getting to experiment with both of those. And then the perlite is another really common one because the only job for that is to hold those roots into in place so they can get access to the water. All right, guys, I told you I was going to be short and to the point because I want you guys to have time to get your kits together, and I want you guys to have time to get ready for the lunch and learn. But do you have any questions about hydroponics in general that I could answer for you guys, or horticulture or anything like that?
If we leave the plants for too long, will they like die or something? If we haven't like planted them or anything?
Yes. So if you could just basically get the plants out of the cooler, like if you can't plant them today, just give them a little bit of extra, like just wet their rock wool and just maybe sit them like on a paper plate or something and just keep them, just like stick the rock wool under the sink spigot and just lay them in a plate. You don't want them to dry out because they will die, but I did give you extras. So you should have one extra of every type of plant. So you can kind of hold on to those in case you run into any problems in the first week or so. And then after that, once they get established, if you wanted to, you could plant them out in your garden if you wanted to, or you can toss them or do whatever you would like, okay?
Okay.
So you should have one cucumber, one okra, one basil plant, and one mint plant.
Okay.
So when you guys start on the coolers, just make sure you read the instructions. And I'm in the Remind group. So if you have any questions, you can go in the Remind group and text me, and I'll help troubleshoot anything. But I am looking forward to seeing those on Flipgrid. I want to see how they turn out for you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Faith and Kiara. It was great to meet you, and thank you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.